The electric vehicle EV dream is over. Mercedes CEO has just abandoned EV production, surprising all automakers by reverting to combustion engines. Mercedes had previously promised to eliminate all gas cars by 2030, but that is no longer the case. The EV market is plummeting, with prices dropping by 30%. But why is Mercedes suddenly hesitating on EVs? Are EVs a scam? A few years ago, governments worldwide pushed car manufacturers towards electric vehicles with strict regulations and hefty fines for non-compliance. Mercedes Benz, a leader in the luxury car market, was among the first to abandon gas engines, aiming for a fully electric lineup by 2030. However, despite these ambitious plans and an early commitment to electrification, the reality of EV sales and market conditions has prompted a significant strategy shift for the German automaker. Here's the situation. A few years ago, the government mandated that all brands must switch to EVs or face hefty fines. Mercedes was one of the first to move away from gas cars, even though EV sales only constituted 11% of their total sales in 2023. CEO Ola Källenius declared a shift to all-electric vehicles. But now, with the EV market in disarray, Mercedes is reversing course. Now, they plan for only half of their cars to be electric or hybrid by then, a significant change from their previous all-EV stance. This isn't just a Mercedes issue, the entire auto industry is now uncertain about EVs. Elon Musk of Tesla is talking about slower sales, Rivian and Lucid are not ramping up production, and GM and Ford are delaying their EV projects. It's like everyone got cold feet simultaneously. Mercedes CEO Ola Källenius revealed that traditional gas vehicles are their only profitable segment, while they're losing money on EVs due to poor sales. He mentioned that making EVs as affordable as gas cars will take at least another decade. For context, in 2030, Mercedes sold 401,943 plug-in hybrids, a 20.5% increase from the previous year, but EV sales fell by 12.5%, while gas car sales surged by 61.3%. Clearly, electric vehicles are losing popularity within Mercedes. The car market is facing several challenges: slow economic growth, persistent supply chain issues, and significant trade tensions between the US, China, and the EU. These factors are complicating the outlook for 2024, with Mercedes anticipating a decline in sales in the first quarter. Despite substantial investments in technology and research, they are struggling with component shortages, particularly with Bosch's 48-volt systems, which are delaying production. Mercedes initially projected that by 2025, half of their vehicles sold would be either plug-in hybrids or fully electric. This was part of their Ambition 2039 strategy, signaling a bold move towards a sustainable future, but recent developments have caused the company to reconsider these goals. Mercedes CEO Ola Källenius has indicated a more cautious approach, now targeting a mix of 50% electric and hybrid vehicles, but only where market conditions allow. This is not just a small hiccup, there is a whole storm of reasons behind Mercedes' dramatic shift. First off, electric vehicle sales aren't progressing as fast as anticipated. Despite the hype, but people aren't switching to EVs as quickly as predicted. High prices, long charging times, and questions about reliability are making potential buyers hesitant. And it's not just in the US where the EV craze is cooling off. Even in Europe, where eco-friendly vehicles are usually very popular, Mercedes isn't betting on going fully electric soon either. The market is just not ready, and Mercedes isn't about to force the issue. Ola Källenius, the big boss at Mercedes, is being realistic. He's not painting a rosy picture anymore. Instead, he's preparing for a future where both gas and electric vehicles share the road. Källenius says it's all about giving the people what they want, and right now, they want options. So Mercedes plans to keep producing their sleek, powerful combustion engines alongside their electric counterparts. Mercedes is also delaying the development of its new electric vehicle platform, the MB.EA Large. This platform was supposed to be the next big thing, bringing us closer to a greener, cleaner driving experience with technologies from the futuristic Vision EQXX, which boasted an impressive 750-mile range on a single charge. But due to slower than expected sales of their current electric models, the EQE and EQS, Mercedes is pulling the plug on this dream. Instead, they're going back to the drawing board with their existing EVA2 platform, which powers the very cars cars that have been underperforming in sales. What does all this mean for you and me? Well, if you're dreaming of a world where electric cars rule the roads by 2030, you might want to hit the snooze button on that dream for a bit longer. Kalenius shed light on the financial challenges of producing EVs in a recent interview. He candidly shared that traditional combustion engines are still Mercedes' bread and butter, financially speaking. The CEO predicted that making EVs competitively priced with gasoline vehicles could take another decade, a statement that underscores the economic hurdles still facing the electric market. Beyond Mercedes, the broader car industry is grappling with various challenges that complicate the production and sale of EVs. Economic growth is sluggish, ongoing supply chain issues persist, and geopolitical tensions among major players like China, the US, and the EU are creating additional strains. Mercedes anticipates a rocky start to 2024 with an expected dip in sales. Adding to the complexity, component shortages, particularly the 48-volt systems supplied by Bosch, are hindering production. Mercedes is introducing a new platform, MMA, designed to accommodate both electric and combustion engines, which will underpin future models like the CLA, GLB, and an upcoming compact G-Wagon. However, a looming threat from China is causing further hesitation. Chinese manufacturers, particularly BYD, are aggressively pricing their EVs, potentially undercutting Western markets. This pricing strategy, coupled with China's dominance in the supply of rare earth minerals essential for battery production, poses a significant risk. The US relies heavily on these imports, and any disruption could severely impact the cost and feasibility of producing EVs domestically. The situation is exacerbated by environmental and ethical concerns associated with mining the raw materials needed for EV batteries, such as nickel and lithium. Issues like water pollution and mining hazards have raised serious questions about the sustainability of sourcing these materials. Despite these challenges, other automakers are exploring different avenues. Ford has reduced prices on models like the Mustang Mach-E in response to slow sales and has scaled back production on its F-150 Lightning truck. Similarly, BMW is pivoting towards hydrogen fuel cell technology, with plans to introduce hydrogen-powered vehicles like the iX5 Hydrogen by 2025, boasting impressive specs such as a 400 horsepower engine and an 800-mile range. So is this export ban bad news for us? It surely is, since acquiring the raw materials for making EVs is now going to be even tougher. Local car manufacturers are going to struggle to keep their prices low. But don't forget, BYD is a Chinese company, so it can still get those costly raw materials and enter our market with cheap EVs, making other brands just obsolete. You should also know that these raw materials needed to make EVs are limited in supply and cause issues like water pollution and mining hazards that affect thousands of children worldwide. Now let's talk about reliability. Remember how we thought EVs could be less of a hassle because they have fewer moving parts? Well, it turns out they've got their own set of issues. We're seeing a bunch of recalls from big names in the EV game. Tesla had to recall over 1 million cars due to autopilot problems, and GM's not off the hook either, with their Bolt EVs catching fire after crashes. Even Ford had to recall a bunch of Mustang Mach-E's due to battery issues. This doesn't exactly scream reliability, does it? And here's the kicker. Fixing an EV isn't like popping into your local mechanic. These high-tech rides can rack up some seriously high repair bills, especially if you damage the battery. We're talking tens of thousands of dollars for what might seem like minor damage. So much for saving money on gas. But the plot thickens. Despite all the government incentives and tax breaks, folks just aren't buying into the EV hype as much as expected. Sales are growing, sure, but not at the blockbuster rates some were predicting. It seems like a lot of people are still on the fence, worried about prices, charging hassles, and whether these cars can really go the distance, both literally and figuratively. So what's the takeaway from all this? While EVs definitely have their perks, they're not the silver bullet for our transportation woes that some had hoped. Between the environmental concerns of battery production, the practical challenges of owning an EV, and the reliability hiccups, it's clear we've got a long road ahead before we can truly call EVs the vehicles of the future. Mercedes' CEO has probably made the right move going back to combustion engines that are still reliable and selling in good numbers.